Math 76, Chapter 6.4, Proportions. So we're talking about proportions, the way two things relate to each other when they are the same. So we're talking about this first one. It says, Carolyn can sketch 4 cartoon strips in 5 hours at the same rate. So it says at the same rate, it's a proportion. It's the same rate that she could do for the other one. How long will it take for her to sketch 18 strips? So when I set these up, I always like to set them up so they're the same. So I'm going to have cartoon in my numerator, and in my denominator I'm going to have hours. So I write it down every single time. Although it seems like a step we can skip, writing it down really helps out. Cartoons over hours. And then let's figure out, what are we solving for? At the same rate, how long will it take her to sketch 18 strips? So X is going to be the hours when we do 18 strips. So cartoons per hour. So my initial one is 4 cartoons for 5 hours. And then that equals, and it says my second, at the same rate, how long will it take her to do 18 strips? 18 strips is cartoons, so that goes in the numerator. And then my denominator, I have X, what I'm solving for. And then I'm going to cross multiply, just like we did in class yesterday. So I get 4x equals 5 times 18. So 4x equals 5 times 18, 90. And then I want to get x all by itself. So I'm going to divide by 4, divide by 4. My 4's cancel. I get x equals 90 divided by 4, 22.5. That's how many hours it's going to take. I'll write this into my answers. 22.5. I'll just say hours right here. Hour. It won't let me write the whole thing. We're going to go with hour, singular, but it's really hours. Okay, there we go. Okay. 16 newspapers cost $27. Find the cost of 16 newspapers. Okay, again, I'm going to set it up. I'm going to write what goes in the numerator. I'm going to say dollars. I like putting dollars in the numerator. It doesn't matter which one goes where, as long as you do the same for both, but I just always like dollars in the numerator. It just makes me more comfortable. Dollars per newspaper. Okay, and I've got, my first one says I've got 60 newspapers, so 60 goes in my denominator for $27. And then it says find the cost of 16 newspapers. So X is going to be my cost for 16 newspapers. Okay. So newspapers is what I'm solving for, and it goes in the denominator. Oh wait, it says cost. I just messed that up. I put X in for newspapers. That was not correct, okay? I gotta just double check and slow down and read that question. It says the cost of, find the cost. So X is gonna be dollars, and it's gonna be in the numerator. And 16 newspapers is gonna be in my denominator. Now I'm going to cross multiply. Makes you feel very smart. Makes you feel like you got a superpower, mathematical superpower. Okay, now I need some space. 27 times 16 equals 60x. Okay? I'm going to erase a little bit of this cost thing down here for x, so I got a little bit more room to work. Okay, 27 times 16 equals 432 equals 60x, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 60. My 60s cancel. 432 divided by 60 gives me 7.2. 7.2 is my cost for the 16 newspapers. So cost is in dollars. So I'm going to say 7 $7.20. Okay. I'm going to skip number 3 and let y'all solve that one on your own. Number 4, 22 guitar lessons cost $528. Find the cost of 12. Okay, so again, I'm going to write out what I'm solving for, and which goes in numerator and denominator. So I've got guitar lessons and cost. I'm going to put cost in the numerator. It just makes me more comfortable. And then lessons in the denominator. If you want to do it the other way, it's totally okay. Okay, so I've got cost over lesson. My cost for 22 is $528, and that's for 22 lessons. And it says find the cost for 12 lessons. So 12 lessons, and I'm solving for x. I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, and I'm going to get 528 times 12 equals 22x. 528 times 12 equals 6,336 equals 22x. That equals does not look like an x. Does not look like an equals. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay, then I've got 6,336, which I'm going to divide both sides by 22. 22 cancels. I'm going to divide this number by 22, and I get 288 equals x. So my cost for 12 lessons is $288. Okay, cool. Okay, I got a little problem with the page because this is going to be too big. So we're going to skip number 5. Don't worry, I've got plenty of examples. We can do number 5 in class if you want to as well, but I promise we got lots of examples on this in the section. So we'll skip that one. We'll let that one be one you work on home because I have a hard time if they're not on the same page. Okay, same setup. Anna earns 1,200 and change in 14 days. How much does she earn in 260 days? Okay, I'm going to set up my ratio. I'm always putting dollars in the numerator. I'm just going to say dollars. And then over days. Okay? Dollars over days. So she earned $1,242.08 in 14 days. And then it says how much does she earn in 260 days. So 260 is days, so it's got to go in the denominator, and my numerator is what I'm solving for, x. So I'm gonna cross multiply. I'm gonna feel very fancy, and I'm writing above because I like to write big. So I have 1242.8 times 260 equals 14x. Okay, let's put that in my calculator. Whoa, big number. 323,128 equals 14x. And we're an expert at this point. We know what to do. We want to get x all by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by 14. Divide this by 14. And I get x equals 23,080, and it's cents, right? So I've got to round to the nearest cent, 57 cents, and that is my final answer. Awesome. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to help set up the next two, and I'm going to let you solve them on your own. But these are great ones to practice. I know you can do it, okay? The Rosebud School District wants the teacher ratio to be 19:1. How many teachers are there for 1,850 students? Round to the nearest whole number. Okay. I'm going to do, it says, right here it says student to teacher. Right here, student to teacher. So I'm going to put student in the numerator and teachers in the denominator, but again, it doesn't matter as long as you do the same thing on both sides of the equation. Okay, student to teacher. So my first one says student to teacher ratio of 19:1, and then it says how many teachers are needed for 1,850 students. So how many teachers? Teacher is in the denominator, and that's what I'm solving for, and that's x, okay? I'm going to let you all try and solve from here. And remember, this week we're bringing in our work, so I look forward to seeing your final answer. At 3 p.m., Coretta's shadow is 1.5 meters long. Her height is 1.68 meters. At the same time, the tree's shadow is 6.58 meters long. How tall is the tree? Okay, so the way shadows work is when the sun is out. I'll show you a little picture. And as you know, my pictures are excellent. Got the sun over here. I have a person standing here. Their angle looks the same. So this triangle is going to be the same proportion as if there was also a tree. Let's say tree. And it makes a shadow. And the tree is taller. And it makes a triangle that's of the same proportion, same ratios. So this is giving me the ratios on this one, and we're going to figure it out for the tree based on her personal shadow, okay? So I am going to, I've got height and I've got shadow. So I'm going to make one the numerator and one the denominator. Again, it doesn't matter which is which as long as it's the same. I'm going to do height and then shadow. I'm going to divide. Okay, Coretta's shadow is 1.05. And I make sure on each side of the equation, Coretta's shadow matches with Coretta's height. So 1.68. So I don't accidentally put the tree with her shadow. They go together. And then the shadow for the tree is 6.58. And my numerator is x, and that's what I'm solving for. And again, I'm going to cross multiply and solve from there. Okay. Number 9. A survey shows 4 out of 5 college students drink coffee. Of those who drink coffee, 1 in 8 adds cream. How many of those in Ohio State would be expected to use cream in their coffee? Ooh, this is a tough one, okay? This one, we have to do proportions first. So first we have to figure out how many are coffee drinkers, and then of those, how many do cream, okay? So first, let's do coffee, okay? So coffee drinkers. And then over students. Okay. So first thing we're doing is we're just figuring out how many drink coffee. So 4 students like coffee. Personally, I do not like coffee. I find it disgusting. As you know, I greatly prefer the bubbly, delicious, crisp taste of a nice Coke Zero. I got 4 over 5. That's how many 4 students like coffee out of 5 students. And then I know I've got 56,000 students, and I got to figure out how many of those are coffee drinkers. Okay, so I'm going to cross multiply. So I get 5x equals 4 times 56,100 I put that on my calculator. I'm not feeling that mathy this morning. So I get 5x equals 4, 4, 0, 0. And now I want to get x all by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. My 5's cancel. So I get x equals 44,880, which makes sense because you would expect that, out of 56,000, it would be about 80%, so, about 44,000. That sounds very reasonable to me. So this just tells me how many are coffee drinkers. This is coffee drinkers. I'm just going to say coffee. Now I have to figure out, of those coffee drinkers, how many put cream in it, okay? So I'm going to erase this because I need some more room. Okay, this says coffee, and this does not want to erase. There we go. Okay, new proportion. I need, of my coffee drinkers, how many have cream? Okay. So these are my students who like coffee. Ooh. Coffee over cream. Okay, and it tells me in my problem, 1 out of 8 adds cream. So 1 student out of 8 coffee drinkers, 1 student out of 8 adds coffee drinkers, right? So I put this kind of upside down. I'm going to rephrase it because here they said 1 out of 8 coffee drinker adds cream. So I'm going to put cream in the numerator. Either way would be okay. I just think it makes more sense if I flip it. Cream to coffee. And I got cream to coffee. Okay. 1 student out of 8 puts cream in their coffee. And then I know I've got 44,880 coffee drinkers, and I'm trying to figure out how many of them use cream. Okay, there we go, we're set up, and I'm going to cross multiply. So I get 8x equals 44,000. Technically it's times 1, but I'm not going to show that. And now I want to get x all by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 8. And I use x again. That's a faux pas. I'm going to make this a y. We're solving for a y because we already solved for x once. We'll make this a y. And we'll make this a y. We're solving for y, which is our cream drinkers. Okay, and then I'm going to say this amount divided by 8 gives me y equals 5,610 who drink coffee with cream. There we go. Let's see if we got any more of these. Okay, we got another double proportion one. 9 out of 10 adults think exercising regularly is a good idea. But the ones who think it's a good idea, only 1 in 6 exercise at least 3 times a week. This sounds pretty realistic. How many of 300 employees in a company actually exercise regularly? Okay, first we're going to figure out how many think it's a good idea, and then we're going to figure out how many of those actually exercise, okay? So we're going to set up our proportions. We're going to say good idea. I'm going to say over total number of people. Okay, so 9 people think it's a good idea out of 10. And I'm going to relate that to my proportions. My total number of employees is 300, and I'm trying to figure out how many of those think it's a good idea to exercise. I'm going to cross multiply, and I get 10x equals 9 times 300. 10x equals oops, 9 times 300. 2,700. This is a little hard to see. I'm going to draw a line between these. So I just multiplied out here. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 10. Now it looks like I'm saying dividing. Okay. I am going to just do this. See if I can bring it down. There we go. There we go. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 10. So there we go. And I divide both sides by 10 and I get x equals 270. And that's how many of our population think that exercising is a good idea. Okay, now I know how many think it's a good idea. Now I need to figure out how many of those actually do it, actually exercise. So I'm gonna erase this part and change it to be, okay, I've now got actually exercise over good idea. Okay, so actually exercise over good idea. I get, it says 1 in 6 actually exercise. 1 exercises over 6. And then I have this 270 was my people who thought it was a good idea. And then I'm going to put in y for the ones who actually exercise. And I'm going to again cross multiply. 1 times 270, y times 6. 6y equals 1 times 270, 270, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 6. And I get y equals 270 divided by 6. 45. So 45 people out of my total population, I don't know what happened to that, actually exercise. Answer right there. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna skip number 11, and I'm gonna let you try. You can. I don't like number 11. You can just skip it. And then number 12 is one that I'd like you to try on your own and bring it into class. And if you're trying to redo a test, make sure you have all of these done. And can't wait to see you again next week.